You're with us on Overdrive. Up next, we have an electric scooter with Italian flair and Indian practicality. I am talking about the VLF Tennis, which is priced at 1.30 lakh rupees and is urban commute friendly. Now, is it all just style or is there substance to this electric scooter as well? Let's check it out.
In a market brimming with serious-looking electric scooters that try to outdo each other on spreadsheets, the VLF Tennis arrives with a swagger that says, "Ciao Bella." It doesn't shout horsepower figures or battery chemistry in your ear. Instead, it flashes a dual-tone paint job, puts on its designer shades and casually sips on an espresso while an Activa revs and honks impatiently next to it.
This isn't your typical EV launch story involving some wannabe startup. This is Velociferro. It comes from the house of Alessandro Tartarini, the same house that gave us Italjet and some other eccentric scooters. And truth be told, despite all that Italian flair, it is assembled far from Bologna, in Kolhapur, Maharashtra, thanks to the tie-up by KAW Veloce Motors.
A little bit of style from Milan and a little bit of masala from Maharashtra.
So what is the VLF Tennis? Is it a fashion-forward scooter for the Gen Z, or is it a low-key Vespa alternative with a charging cable, or is it simply a scooter trying to bring the Italian flair to the electric revolution in India without having to break the bank or the back?
We lived with one for a few days to find out, and here's what we think. At first glance, the VLF Tennis doesn't scream electric scooter. There is a whiff of retro inspiration, reminiscent of classic European scooters, but filtered through a minimalist, almost anime-style lens. From its stubby boot to its oversized headlamp cluster with dual DRLs, it feels like something a Milanese graphic designer might ride to a rooftop cafe. Sketchpad in tow. But look closer and you'll find it isn't just posing for the Instagram. The proportions for Indian roads are surprisingly well judged. However, the rear seat could have been bigger for more pillion comfort, of course. It's compact without feeling toy-like, and use of textured panels and muted metallic colors lends a sense of premium without the Vespa price tag. If you know, you know.
The fit and finish isn't flawless. There are some plastic bits, even this metal grab rail, that feels more bicolor than Bologna, but nothing that really ruins the aesthetic all that much. And for a scooter that's assembled in Kolhapur, it flaunts its Italian passport quite well.
The LED lights are tastefully done, and the flush-fit tail lamp almost gives off Apple MacBook kind of energy. Sleek, no nonsense, and quietly confident. It's clear that form was given equal footing with function here, even if the function had to make the occasional compromise. We'll get to that in a bit.
When you swing your leg over the scooter, the first thing that you will notice, apart from the feather weight, is how easy and accessible it is. With a seat height of just 780 millimeters and a weight of 88 kilos, moving the scooter around is an absolute breeze. Someone who is a short rider, maybe for the older generation, maybe for the fairer sex, this is going to be absolutely appealing. I think this is going to be its biggest talking point, how light and easy it feels.
It's a dream for shorter riders and first-time EV converts who have only ever flirted with the idea of leaving their petrol-powered comfort zones. In traffic, it's sublime. The lightweight chassis and the 12-inch wheels make for quick directional changes. Think Fruit Ninja, not MotoGP. Threading through rickshaw gaps and dodging unpredictable lane shifters becomes second nature. The telescopic fork up front and the monoshock at the rear do their best to absorb daily urban punishment, though they are definitely tuned for comfort, not corner carving.
Come to the faster roads, however, and the Tennis starts showing its shortcoming. The top speed is capped at about 65 kilometers an hour, which will make you wish that the green light just stays on for a little bit longer because you're mostly going to miss it. There are 3 riding modes, Eco, Comfort and Sport, but with very little variation. What really changes is the top speed. That 65 kmph cap is what you get in the Sport mode. Go into Eco or Comfort and that goes even lower.
So none of the modes really turn this scooter into a sprinter, which may seem odd for an EV that usually promises neck-twisting acceleration. But many will appreciate the linearity with which the Tennis offers its power delivery. Think of it more as a city slicker than an extra urban runabout. That said, the braking is solid. Dual discs front and rear provide confident stopping power, and the scooter feels well balanced even under hard braking, though the lever feel could use a touch more feedback. The VLF Tennis isn't trying to win stoplight drag races. It's refreshingly honest about that. Powered by a humble 1.5 kilowatt hub motor, the acceleration is best described as confident, but never in a rush. If you want something sportier, wait till KAW brings the VLF Mobster, which has the DNA of the dragster and a 4 kilowatt motor. As for the Tennis, in sport mode, it'll scoot away from a standstill with a bit of zest. Enough to beat the odd splendor of the line, but not enough to make your helmet visor pop open.
Where the motor truly shines is with the consistency or linearity of its power delivery. No jerky response, no odd behavior. And that's something that a lot of people will appreciate in bumper-to-bumper madness or when they are treading through all these delivery boys who are trying to outbrake themselves.
Velocifero claims a range of 130 kilometers on a full charge from the 2.5 kilowatt-hour battery. Realistically, with a mix of sport and comfort modes, we got about 110 kilometers in typical city conditions, which is not bad at all. That's still good enough if you ask me, especially considering the 3-hour charging time using its 720-watt home charger.
And if you don't have a secure parking spot or if you're parking on the road, no problem at all because the battery is removable, which means you can introduce it to the luxuries of your home, provided you have enough bicep strength and a big plug point next to your microwave.
One caveat, the motor whine is quite noticeable, especially in silent lanes, if you find those in India. Not annoying, but definitely present. A bit like a Bluetooth speaker playing at half volume in your backpack. In true Italian fashion, the VLF Tennis arrives with a surprising number of thoughtful touches, many of which seem designed for a scooter parked in a scenic piazza rather than a jammed Andheri back road. Let's start with the dash. A crisp 5-inch TFT screen sits up front, displaying speed, range, and mode selection in a clean, easy-to-navigate layout. It's legible in most conditions, though direct sunlight at the wrong angle can turn it into a reflective mirror. Useful if you need to fix your hair before a Bumble date. The switchgear feels tactile, and the riding modes, Eco, Comfort, and Sport, are easy to toggle on the fly. But the real party trick is the removable battery we spoke of, which lets you charge it indoors.
At 13 kilos, lugging it up a flight of stairs is more CrossFit than convenience. But if you have a secure parking spot and you have a plug point close by, you can charge it in scooter. Of course, you'll still have to leave the seat open. It's not convenient, but workable.
Practicality, though, is a mixed bag. There's underseat storage, but only enough to fit a half-face helmet, and those are unsafe, so don't wear them. And that too if you haven't stashed your charger in there. There is a tiny glove box and a bag hook up front. At 1.3 lakh rupees ex-showroom, the VLF Tennis isn't exactly affordable, especially when you consider that it sits within striking distance from the more powerful, better spec local rivals like the Chetak, the Ather 450S and the TVS iQube.
But that's missing the point. This scooter is not chasing any numbers. It's not trying to win any spec sheet wars. It's simply trying to bring in that Italian flair, the drama, the visual character. And that, I think, it does really well.
Is the kind of scooter you would buy because you want to stand out, not blend in. Because you appreciate design, not discounts. So should you buy one though? If you're looking for maximum range or outright value, the VLF Tennis won't ace those tests. But if you are after a stylish, easygoing urban companion that turns heads and sparks conversations, this might just be your two-wheel soulmate.
Well, with that, it's a wrap on this week's edition of Overdrive. But remember, you can stay in touch with the team through our various social media platforms and you can write to us on YouTube as well. We'll see you next week. Until then, goodbye. Many thanks for watching.